Hello guys, so for today's tutorial I'll be teaching you how to draft a crop top. So for my starting line, I created a line at the top which will be my starting line, and from that line I measured 16 inches as the length of my top. So the next thing I'll be doing now is to get my chest line, and the chest line I'll be working with for this client is 8 inches. So I'll mark 8 inches through and create a straight line with the 8 inches. So the next step is to get our shoulder measurement. The shoulder measurement I'll be working with is 15 inches. 15 inches divided by 2 is 7.5. So I'll be marking that at the starting line, and I'll be marking that at our chest line. That line I just drew was our chest line. So I'll be using that to form a straight line. So the next step we'll be working with is, as you can see, the paper is folded into two. So the next step I'm working with is my neckline for both the front and back. For the wideness I'll be using 3.5, and for the depth I'll be using 3 inches. So as you can see, this neckline will be for both the front and back because this particular crop top doesn't have any zipper. So for your shoulder slope, I'll be going in by 1 inch. As you know, the shoulder of a human isn't straight, so we have to take our shoulder slope. Then I'm going to be creating my neckline with my curve. So as you can see, watch the way I placed my curve. You just do same. So if you're in a bigger size, you can use 3 and 4 inches wideness and 3.5 inch depth. So this will enable you not to struggle when you want to wear your crop top because there is no zip. So when I'm done with this, the next step is to be measuring half of the mid armhole, and on that point you go in by 1/2 inch. This is what I did. So the next thing I'll be marking out is my bust point. So if you have that measurement, you are going to impute it, but if you don't, you are going to be going down by 1.5 inch from the chest line. So that is what I did here. I marked 1.5 inch from the chest line and I created a straight line. It actually works for cases where you forgot to take the bust point. So I did that. So when I was done, the next thing I did was to mark the bust measurement of my client. This client, her bust measurement is 32, and 32 divided by 4 is 8 inches. Then this 8 inches is the fitted measurement, so I added 1 inch for ease. As you know, it's a crop top. It isn't meant to be too tight, as this particular one doesn't have a zipper. So on the waist measurement, I'll be using the bust measurement on the waist so it can pass it freely, but I won't add ease allowance. So I'll just be going on with the the bust measurement, which is 8 inch. As you can see, I marked the 8 inch and I didn't add any ease allowance, as this is already way more than the waist. So I'm going to connect that to a straight line. So I used a straight line to connect that. So now what you need to do now is to connect that point to your armhole to get a curve. Connecting those 2 points together like this. So just take a look at the way I'm placing my curve and just do yours the same way. So when I was done with this, the next thing I did was to add my allowance that I'll be used for turning, because for this particular outfit I'll be using a lining to finish it up. So I added 1.5 inch allowance as my turning in measurement. So when I was done with that, I took a straight line and made an input of whatsoever was in my waist measurements on that point. So I went in by 8 inches, which was my waist measurement back. So the next thing I did now was The next thing you'll be doing, add half inch to your neckline, your shoulders, your armhole, and you add 1.5 inch or 1 inch to your side, because the first allowance we added was ease, which was only at the bust, so you need to add a sewing allowance. As you can see, I already cut out and placed on my fabric and added those allowance I mentioned earlier. I added 1.5 to my down, and if you notice, I added 1 inch extra to the down after adding allowance. This was because I wanted to take the length of my top from 16 to 17 inches, so that is why I added the extra. So if you want your top to be that 16, you can just stick with that length, while I just increased mine to 17. So I use the same pattern to cut for the back. Like I said, we'll be cutting 2-piece on fold. As you can see, I'm folding it and cutting out exactly the same thing, because there is no difference between the front and the back actually. So you are going to be replicating exactly the same thing for the back. So I'm just going to make sure that the two of them are equal and pin when necessary, so that I'll cut exactly the same thing for the back piece. Then I marked out 1.5 inch and cut it out, because I wanted to do sort of like a turn up, just to have that clean finishing at the bottom, at the hem of my top. So I removed my pin and cut out the 1.5 inch. So the next thing you need to do now is to take it over to the sewing machine and make a stitch with 1/2 inch, which I did. Then I'll be turning the sides and turning the neckline. You do the same thing for both the front and the back. When you are done doing that, please go to your ironing table and give this a very good press, because ironing makes your work very neat. So don't always skip that part. So the next thing I'm going to do is going to be showing you how to join the shoulders, but before joining the shoulder, make sure you iron. So the next thing you are going to be doing is, see the way I'm placing it. I'm placing lining to lining, fabric to fabric. You can see the way I'm opening it. So you are going to be making sure the midpoint meets each other before you are going to go over to shaping your clothes with 1 inch or 1.5, depending on the allowance that you put in the first place. So sure you trim and give that a good press. We don't need any bulkiness at that part. So as you can see, I open iron my seam. Then next thing I'll be doing is drafting my sleeve, my trumpet sleeve. I have here, as you can see, is 12 inches. So I used 12 inches. I added 1/2 inch to my basic sleeve, and this is on fold. I added 1/2 inch to the up of my sleeve and added 1.5 to the as allowance to the up. So I'll be connecting this to the 12 inches mark that I made. And when I'm done with this, so this is how my funnel sleeve looks like. I just altered it out. If you notice on the picture, there's something like a V pointed sleeve. So I'll be going up from my sleeve length. I'll be going up because I wanted the sleeve length to be 25 inches. I didn't want it to be short. So I'll be going up by 1.75. You can choose to do 2 inches or 1 inch, just depending on how you want it. I'll be connecting that 1.75 to that 12 inches mark I made. So I'll be connecting it. So this will give me the V pointed funnel sleeve. Then I'll be cutting this out. As simple as that. So I hope you have been following this step and you are not lost through any process. If you are, you just have to go back and watch this video again. So I'll be cutting out my sleeve now, as you can see. So you cut out 2 pieces, which will be for 2 hands obviously. So we're cutting that out. So I So there are two ways to finish this. So I use the bias for mine. You can choose to fold yours twice, but I used bias for that neat finishing. So I'll just mark in the back of this pattern at this point so that I won't get confused when fixing it. So now you go ahead to fix your sleeve to your top. So I did that after fixing my sleeve to my top, and this is how it looks at the end of the day. Very beautiful. I already ironed this piece. Like I said, always make sure you iron. You can see that effect at the bottom, the turn up. So this is how my sleeve looks, and it is giving that pointed look. Yeah, so if you want to see a tutorial on how I drafted my basic sleeve before altering it, just let me know. And don't forget to like and share. Bye bye.